I am super excited. I'm starting a YouTube channel, which I've started so many times, but now I have Tony to help me and actually push me. I am super excited because I get to take y'all along with my journey within life, but also my training, my new business, the Holistic Shift. So I'm no longer working with Together More. I have my own baby, the Holistic Shift, which I am beyond grateful, beyond excited to just pursue and pour all my passion into the people that come my way throughout this business venture. And I'm also with Eminent Nutrition, and I chose them because their supplements, honestly, some of the smoothest on digestion, but also the people. I'm really picky on who I work with in terms of the people and the owners of the company, and they are incredible. They are faith-driven. I really align with them, so I'm super excited to also provide y'all the best supplements and company within them. Today I'm going to take y'all through my leg day, my glute day. I've been hitting the same exercises for so long, but my glutes have definitely taken some turns within growth over the past year, especially since I started a fat loss journey, a very long fat loss journey since I gained so much weight last year. I wanted to make sure that I sustained the goal of losing body fat, but also building muscle and loving my shape and loving my life throughout the process. So right now I'm about 20 to 30 pounds down, and I want to lose another 10 before summer. And I'm taking out through my leg day and how I do my workouts, but also my entire life throughout this process of cutting and also living the best life that I possibly can and having the energy to give to the people that I love. My number one favorite glute exercise at the moment is single leg lunge, reverse lunge. Just focusing on that glute, lighter weight, nothing really heavy, nothing really impressive. You just want to really emphasize the glute. All right, I have a really bad glute imbalance between my left and right glute. My left glute just doesn't like to connect most every day. So there's something that I do to really make sure that my left glute gets like prioritized instead of my quad getting involved or my hamstring taking over. When I'm doing a lunge, basically what I like to think about is my knee is gonna kind of stay over my ankle as I go down, but it's gonna shift a little bit forward, and my hip is gonna like hinge back. So my glute's gonna drive a little bit diagonal back, and that way I'm not too far leaned back and also too far leaned forward. My mistake that I used to do was I was trying to keep my spine too straight. If you move your spine up and down, your hip and spine too straight up and down, sometimes you can lose that glute connection and be more quad focused. So you're gonna see that I have slight hinge forward within my upper body, and that way my glutes can move on a diagonal axis. Another thing that I do is I picture my knee like going on a horizontal line back and forth. Sometimes that can be a mental cue that can help you target the glute as well.
You look lost.
I am lost. RDLs. Next up, RDLs. The main thing I like to focus on RDLs is making sure that my glutes and hips move on a horizontal axis, back and forth on a straight line, not up and down. If you're doing a lot of your back, most likely you're either hunching over or your glutes are like going down as you're RDLing. There is a way to connect with your glutes while kind of pushing back and down, but if your back and your shoulders are becoming arched over, you're gonna feel more back than glute, which we don't want. So if you're new to RDLs, I would highly consider just keeping your glutes and hips up straight, bracing your core under, and then as you go down, they're gonna stay here, stay as tall as they can, and then your upper body's literally just gonna drop as it stays open, and so your spine stays straight the entire time as you're RDLing. As you go down, just think about your knees opening up, so your hips can open up just a little bit. If your knees are caving in or if they're staying too straight, oftentimes we're not going to connect with our glutes as much as we could if we were to open up our knees just a tad. So you can point your toes out a little bit so that knee drive can kind of point out as well. Personally, on a hip press, I like to use the single leg unilateral, so I do a lot of unilateral movements just because my glutes are balanced, like I said a million times. On a leg press, I'll do both legs, but on a hip press, it's easier to do single leg and actually connect with that single leg. Main thing I like to do is think about my knee driving out to my shoulder, not my chest. If we're driving to our chest, it's more likely that our knee is going to cave in. So we want our knee to kind of position out and then at least stay in line with our ankle. So if you think about that, every time you're doing a leg press or a hip press, you want your knees to cave out towards your shoulders and never cave in. I also like to have my toes slightly pointed out. That also allows me to open up my hips as I'm doing the press. La-di-da, la-di-da. The dirty shoes are epic. The stance that I have here on the hip press is basically the same stance you could use for an RDL. It's also the same stance you can do for like a curtsy lunge, except you have a wider stance between legs. B stance RDL, curtsy lunge, and hip press single leg. All of them, it's going to be a similar stance where you have like a stagger to them. And your working leg, your working foot is going to be slightly pointed out. I usually choose between 4 to 6 exercises. 4 to 6 exercises every time I do my leg day or honestly any muscle group. And I usually turn around 4 to 5 times a week, so I actively allow myself to recover, like fully recover, not trying to push it. I find the most progress comes when I take back-to-back rest days, and on top of that, I found that the most progress happens when I actually allowed my body to recover. That being said, your muscle will only grow if it has the recovery to allow it to grow. You can't keep pushing it, because the more that you push it, the more that you break it down, that's actually not going to produce growth. That's going to hinder you from actually seeing progress and growth. If you want to see, especially with your glutes, if you want to see your glutes blow up, give yourself more recovery. So I really focus on keeping your glutes and hips in the back seat of the pad. Same with the leg curl. You never want yourself to be coming up forward. So you want to keep everything glued into the pad, really secure yourself in the seat, and just let your legs do the work. Usually I'll do a triple drop set, and I'll just go until failure each time. So that's what we're doing. Alright team, guess what's up? What I've been trying to do for myself and what I am doing for my athletes is actually protocoling higher carb days the day before leg days, the day before training. So a lot of times that looks like a higher carb day on rest days, like 3 meals on rest days, and then the next day would be a hard leg day or training session. I have found with my own progress and my athlete's progress that doing higher carb days before hard training sessions actually allow them to progress more and have better pumps in the actual training session, because even though you're burning more calories on a leg day within that day, you're actually not going to utilize all the calories that you've eaten within that day on a higher carb day all the time, because it takes 2 to 6 hours for that meal to digest throughout the day to actually be utilized in the bloodstream for energy. That being said, doing high carb days the day before can allow you to use that energy in the higher carb day in your training session the next day. The biggest thing that I like to focus on abduction is the tempo. So usually I'll do a 2 to 3 second eccentric, and then I will push out, obviously, hold that for 2 seconds, and then a 2 to 3 second eccentric, push out, hold that for 2 seconds, 2 to 3 second eccentric. And you keep on doing that every rep until failure. There's some different ways you can do an abduction. You can lean forward, you can keep your back completely on the pad. Honestly, some will say either one's better. It really depends on what you feel best within your glutes and where you want to focus. So depending on where I'm already taxed within my, because I do abduction last, so if I want to hit my upper glute, I will usually do lean forward a little bit, keeping my spine somewhat straight, and really thinking about pushing out with my knees, as my feet don't have too much pressure, and just my knees are the ones that are pushing on the pad to allow my glute to be the main focus as I'm doing the abduction. So usually do reps till failure with my spine forward. You can either hold the pad, hold the bar, whichever one is closest to you, and then I'll move back, and I'll finish out with the burnout with my back glued to the pad. No matter what, your hips are always to the back of the seat, so they're never like too far forward. They're always going to stay in the same position, just really glued back to the seat. Right, the reason why I created the holistic shift is because throughout my experience, not only just competing, not only bodybuilding, not only fitness, the last 6 years of my life, there's been a lot of shifts within who I am as an individual, and that goes with all of us, but a lot of times we lose direction, and I think fitness is such a great outlet for us to keep discipline and honor ourselves in. But life is so much more than fitness, and if we can honor our physique and honor the health that we live in and the body that we live in while creating a mental environment that we just thrive in as well, that's the real secret to a fulfilling life. And so even though I'm a fitness coach, I'm a holistic coach to teach individuals how to be one within themselves, to authentically know who they are, to understand more about their goals, but also understand more about themselves as they go and grow throughout hard times, throughout our journey together. I believe the number one way we can show ourselves self-love and respect is not only through the food that we eat, but also the way that we show up for ourselves holistically and within our body, within fitness. And so that is why my program is based around fitness. Also because I'm just really good at the body and building physiques, but along with that is creating an environment of women and men and just a team where there's community and support, because with support we are able to excel in so many different outlets of our life. And another thing that I added into the holistic shift is more one-on-one calls and attention within the mental health. So I give a lot of journal prompts, I give a lot of mental attention of let's unpack some of these self-sabotaging habits or these roadblocks or these limiting factors that we've created in our mind to allow us to actually unleash into a different identity or an identity that we really want to become. Because even if you go through a fat loss journey and you lose 30 pounds and you're this new individual, you can still sometimes be stuck in that same old mindset of I'm overweight or I'm a loser or I can't do anything or I suck. And if you're always going to live your life in that mindset, the story that you're tell yourself is the actual story that you're going to forever live within your life. So you can lose all the weight, but if you have that same limiting mindset going out throughout the process and at the end, you're still going to gain all the way back and go back to who you used to be. So my goal with every person that comes through my program just works with me is to not only gain the physical progress and the health progress, but also gain the mental changes throughout the process to become someone that they're always proud of and someone that is able to achieve any goal that they foresee for themselves. What personally inspired me to create a bigger difference within our coaching program is because I've gone through a lot of deep, dark moments throughout my last 3 years of my life, and if I had someone in my life who I could just really lean on and trust to pull me out of that hole throughout the process and teach me and tell me like, hey, it's going to be okay, but we can't self-sabotage in these ways, we can't do this constant cycle, you can't stay in this toxic environment, I would have definitely needed or wanted someone to guide me out of that hole. And if I could be that someone for any individuals that come my way, that's exactly what I want to do and be, is just to show them like, hey, it sucks right now, but it won't always suck, and this is like a journey that we'll take on together. So I can teach you that you don't have to stay in the exact same stuck position for the rest of your life, as there's going to be dark times and there's always going to be lessons to learn. But the lessons, the dark moments are exactly the moments that change your life if you let them. Many of y'all know that last year I had a massive weight gain journey, and so I gained like 40 pounds in the span of 3 months, which is completely a lot of weight. And that identity shift I'm still working on, so even though I lost a lot of weight, I still struggle with sometimes like having the negative thoughts of you are stuck in that same body, and I have to remind myself like, hey, you've healed, you've done the work, you're not who you used to be. And that's a constant practice that I have to do right now, but I also like to do that with my athletes. So the number one way that I was able to holistically lose the weight is by not self-sabotaging my mind or even my body or even just through restriction and the thought processes or the environment that I was putting myself in. A lot of times if you're in a negative environment or you're doing negative things like hooking onto drugs or drinking or going out every weekend or all these different things, it also is going to result in where you are mentally. So if your outside environment is in not a very holistic or healthy place, you best believe that your inside environment, your mind is in a horrible place as well, because it all reflects together. I tried to lose the weight 1,000,000 times last year, but I knew that with the restriction, with the just me staying in a toxic environment, I was not going to. So at the end of the day, the biggest bet you can make on yourself is literally choosing to place yourself in a different environment, not only just with friends, not only within who's mentoring you or who's leading you, and sometimes we don't have those mentors, but they're around us. We just have to get outside of our box, not only within what you put inside your body, but also just like, how do you wake up every day? Like, what do you do every single night? Like, how are you serving yourself? How are you speaking to yourself? What habits are you doing? You are exactly the habits that you choose every single day over time. The reason why I named it the holistic shift is because a lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves to change, and we're like, we have to change now, right? Like this second, everything has to change. You have to lose the weight, do the thing, whatever it is, right? But in reality, our habits are what are shifting us to become exactly who we want to be. And so if we just allow our habits and our actions, allow our actions to shift us, we're going to be exactly where we want to be. So we don't have to put so much pressure on like, it has to be done right now. It's just going to shift over time through holistically choosing what's best for you. So that is the holistic shift, my Baby My New program, to just allow impact to happen throughout whoever wants to come my way, and also just be part of our calls, which are going to be soon for free. And if you have any ideas or you want to see a certain topic or me just explore a certain anything, you can just put them in the comments or even message me via Instagram, and I will forever just pour into y'all as much as I can. So thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next one.